Hey there! Welcome back to Reddit Dating, best channel for cheating stories. Make sure to like and subscribe the channel for more spicy stories. My STBXW filed for a divorce 8 months ago. We have been separated for 8 months and moved in with her affair partner. Divorce is to be finalized next month. Now she's begging not to go through with it and begging me to try reconciliation. My wife, 38F, and I, 37M, first met in college. Before getting married, we dated for 5 years. Our marriage has been stable, with a few ups and downs. We had 2 daughters, born on 13 and 15 January of last year, and I noticed my wife spending more time on the phone than usual. She essentially did what every other cheater does. When I tried to communicate my concerns, they lied, shifted responsibility, and gaslighted me. I know I wasn't perfect, and I made mistakes that I deeply regret, but she treated me like a piece of trash throughout her affair. I attempted to fix all elements of our connection as she believed were lacking. When D-Day arrived in early June, she admitted to having an EA and sleeping with him only twice. Then she accused me of being the cause of her affair. She stated that she wished to reconcile, and we attempted reconciliation, but she was simply not interested. She continued to contact him, and they continued to converse. When I expressed my discomfort, she maintained they were just friends and continued to delete texts even after I warned her not to. When I threatened divorce, she cried, apologized, and begged me not to. When I brought up the affair, she became enraged, and I was the one who ended up apologizing. After about 2 or 3 months, she began to disappear again, claiming that she was visiting family who needed her at the time. I had a feeling she was going to see AP, and when I mentioned it to her, she was extremely convincing. She went missing one weekend and didn't answer my calls or texts, and when she returned, she informed me that her cousin had gotten sick, and they had to transport her to the hospital, and she had left her phone at her sister's house. And I was trying to make it work for us the whole time. She witnessed all of my efforts but didn't seem to care. Then, by mid-December, she told me she was leaving, that she was unhappy in our relationship, and that, while she still loved me, she was in love with AP. She had finally met her soulmate. I remember crying for hours trying to persuade her, but she was set in her ways. We had to inform the children, because her AP apartment was small. She said I could have the kids during the week, and she could come visit them on weekends. A week later, she filed for divorce. This was the most difficult time of my life, and I cried for weeks. When I tried to talk to her, all she said was that she was sorry for everything she had put me through, but her mind was made set. Except for us, no one else was aware. Both her and my parents were aware that we were merely separated, but had no idea why. By the end of January, when her mother called and insisted I confess the truth, I had invited her and her father over. I told them everything, and I literally burst into tears on my mother-in-law's shoulder. As they consoled me and apologized for their daughter's inappropriate actions. I then told my parents and then a few close friends, and soon enough, everyone knew about us, and I began receiving reassuring messages from others who were talking about my ex. Soon after, my wife called me, sobbing, and told me that I had turned everyone against her and that she despises me. She claimed that individuals were threatening her and AP, that her father despises her, they had a good connection, and that her sisters refused to speak to her. No one will talk to her without insulting her. It was the middle of April. Her relationship with AP had burned out owing to stress by the beginning of June. I recall her visiting the kids and telling me that her AP had kicked her out because he couldn't manage the stress of their relationship. She was staying in a hotel room at the time. She didn't have the appearance of someone who was depressed. I replied no when she asked if she could move back in. She expressed her understanding but requested additional time with the children. She stated that she wished to make up for lost time with the children by coming in the afternoon to cook for them and spend time with them. I concurred. By this time, she would have come to cook my favorite meal, clean the house, and leave small messages with flowers saying I love you. When I got home from work, she would always make an effort to spend more time with me. I must admit that I enjoyed spending time with her. Then she started talking about how much she misses me and asked if I really want a divorce. I used to avoid these types of talks. She told me last week that she had been going to IC and was wondering if we might try MC. She started dressing like that, wearing cosmetics, and she's attempted to initiate, but I've turned her down. She has purchased more items for me, and she has mentioned MC numerous times. She cried throughout the weekend, imploring me not to proceed with the divorce, saying she has already put up with a lot and all she wants is me and her family back, and she will do everything I want. It's almost as though the roles had been flipped. I've remained numb all this time, but a part of me is relieved that she's had a taste of her own medicine. I still adore her, but I'm not sure if I should give our relationship another shot. Story 2. My wife, 32 female, has been having an affair, and I'm broken. After 3 years of dating, my wife, 32F, and I, 30M, tied the knot in September 2018 after 3 years together. Immediately before our honeymoon, we purchased a property in Virginia, and when we returned, we pooled our remaining cash in time to completely renovate her prior starter home in Maryland, which we sold in early 2019. We both work full-time in Virginia, where we both live. I make a respectable living, but she earns far more. Katie, my wife, decided to pursue an MBA and began classes in the fall of last year. She did not request financial assistance from me because she was the beneficiary of an educational trust created by her parents for her. I took on the responsibility of handling everything related to our still new home because I recognized how time-consuming the MBA was on top of her already heavy professional workload. This included dealing with contractors, managing all of our bills, maintaining the house, caring for our dog, purchasing/assembling furniture, yard work, cooking, cleaning, and laundry, as well as hosting and entertaining her family, who insisted on coming over at least 2 weekends per month. In recent weeks, Katie had expressed displeasure with our relationship, alleging that I wasn't spending enough quality time with her and that I wasn't making her feel wanted. Several times, I attempted to convince her that, between her work and studies, as well as my work and home responsibilities, we simply didn't have enough time to spend together in general. We would frequently not get to eat dinner until 9:00 or 10:00 p.m., and I would either need to bring her a meal to her home office, or we would quickly eat together, and she would return to schoolwork to study or percolate in group projects/sessions. They were just my responsibilities as a spouse, she'd argue, and while she appreciated what I was doing around the house, it didn't count against my attempts to maintain or strengthen our relationship. She was right, of course. We'd also been having a lot of disagreements about other things, which, when paired with our lack of free time, meant that we'd only be intimate once a month at the most. In the wake of one particularly emotional and intoxicated conversation a few weeks ago, I determined that, despite what I considered was already a high level of prioritization for her needs, I would go even further. As a result, I began to skip work, since I, unlike her, was required to report to work during COVID, come in late/leave early, stop seeing friends, skip workouts, and even wait until she was occupied with something else before taking a shower, all in order to spend as much available time with her as possible between her obligations. Things between us appear to be getting better as a result of this. We finally made it to the day before last Wednesday. As is customary for me, I was making dinner for the family. The kitchen has a tablet computer that I primarily use for recipe searching. Just as I was about to wrap reading, the tablet began to ping ceaselessly, so I went to investigate what was going on. To my surprise and dismay, Katie's tablet appears to be linked to her Google credentials, and I was the first to notice an ongoing Hangouts conversation between Katie and a friend, in which they were discussing what to do about someone's wife, who had arrived at our house earlier in the day while I was at work. As I scrolled through the discussion history, I discovered more about Katie's lack of feelings for me, as well as her desire and fantasies about being with someone else, whom we'll call Luke, that I had previously overlooked. Instead of leaving Hangouts and opening her Gmail, I chose to check her inbox, where I discovered many emails between her and Luke dating back to March, in which they addressed one another by their first names, babe, sweetheart, and my love. Without knowing what to do next, I took pictures of everything I could find before heading outside to call the only person I knew who had legal experience, an executive at my firm with whom I developed a friendship over the years. I should approach her right soon, he advised, but I should first arrange for someone to come over to the house to act as a witness in case things got physical, or if she later tried to pretend they did. After that, I summoned a friend who arrived in about 20 minutes and questioned Katie, who admitted to the connection and said that they had been intimate several times over the prior 4 months, both in hotels and at our home. Despite the fact that I was in a state of extreme discomfort, I sought to maintain my composure and requested her to go. She stayed at a motel for 2 nights and then went home on Friday, despite my concerns, claiming that this was also her home, which I found ridiculous. In spite of my efforts to stop her from continuing to speak, she continued, and because I did not have a witness this time, I decided to record the entire conversation on my phone. The woman tried to emphasize that she was sad, but that she had sought guidance and resources from her friends and mother in an attempt to rebuild our relationship. She was unsuccessful, even though I had suggested counseling in the past, but she refused. In an attempt to make me believe that she had made a mistake, that she had broken up with Luke only a week before, that I was the only one she wanted to spend the rest of her life with, and that the only reason she hadn't informed me earlier was because she had been pushed not to by her friends. She also mentioned that, if we truly love each other, divorce was a mistake, and that we should be able to overcome any difficulty that comes our way in the future. I responded by saying that love is useless without trust, and then I requested her to please remain in the guest room if she insisted on staying here for the duration. Without a doubt, she is welcome to use her home office and the guest bathroom, but please refrain from entering our bedroom or bathroom without first obtaining my permission. As a result, here I am. Me and my dog are sitting by ourselves in our house right now. Her aunt, uncle, and cousins are currently at our next-door neighbor's house for a barbecue dinner. They are unaware of what she's done. For some reason, I can't force myself to walk over there because I don't want to talk to or even look at Katie, let alone pretend that nothing happened in front of a large group of people. Despite the fact that 90% of me desires a divorce, I was satisfied with the life we were making together. We had even talked about trying to concede by this time the following year. In any case, regardless of my decision, I am certain that I do not want to make that decision until I have learned more about the options available to me, what might happen if we proceed, and whether or not I should consult with a few VA lawyers to defend myself. In addition to our residence, we only have one joint account with less than $20,000 in it, and we have no other assets. That's all there is to it. Please accept my apologies for the length of this letter. Thank you for sticking with me all the way to the very end, and I would greatly appreciate any and all information, suggestions, or help that you could provide. I'm completely and utterly shattered, empty, and alone at the moment. Please be of service to me. Edit. I am utterly taken aback and overjoyed by the outpouring of love and support I have received from everyone. I can't believe you take the time to provide your advice, generosity, and wisdom to someone who has never met you before. I'm doing my best to read each and every one of your responses, and I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to you from the bottom of my partially shattered soul. This has been a huge source of light for me during the darkest period in my own life.